FM Angel TV live, also on Facebook, Angel 102.9 FM live on TikTok and our face. So many platforms. I know pay. This is Angel Morning Show. It is Angel in the Morning. We did Sadiq Adams Makacho BM said there are so many stories to discuss this morning, but this part's an interview. And I pay the Switzerland ambassador to Ghana, Ambassador Simone Giga and AD Nkomo. She's already seated in the studio. Said and she's not only ambassador for Ghana, but the conversation is about Ghana. I sign a jurisdiction and ambassador for Togo and Benin. All these three countries, Switzerland for the any conversation or no and oda abaina no ewaha. Ambassador Simone Giga is already seated. Good morning, Yensha. Good morning, Ambassador.
Good morning.
Simone, what to say? How long has it taken you to learn this?
Oh my God, but I learned it a long time back, and then I forgot it again, and so I have to revive my tweet.
So you understand what Eyepa means?
Eyepa means like very good.
Very good.
Yeah. So you can put the pa at the end of any word, I understand, and then it means a lot, right?
A lot.
So I use that actually also, but with English words,
Great. Thank you very much and welcome to Angel Morning Show. We thank you very much for honoring our invitation this morning. We will just start on the notes that we know in the context of things and in the scheme of affairs. There are so many, to people's misconception or perceptions, huge missions in Ghana, and Switzerland is not one of the large missions. But what's the relationship between Switzerland and Ghana?
Of course, we have the historical relationship, and that dates back almost 200 years. We're actually going to celebrate the 200-year anniversary of the first landing of the Basel missionaries, in Ghana.
The Basel mission.
It was 1828, so in 2028, we'll have the 200-year anniversary. And I believe that every single Ghanaian probably has come in touch with the Basel missionaries at one point in their life.
Yeah.
And be it that they went to a Presby school, be it that they go to the Presby church, be it, also be it that they are farmers and they basically benefited from the agricultural practices that the Basel missionaries championed in the country. But then also what a lot of people don't know, that the Basel missionaries made a large contribution to the language development. And since we started with Twi, so the first English Twi dictionary was actually published by the Basel missionaries. So they also helped in codifying the Twi language. Yes, so I believe that the Basel missionaries have really, really, really a large and mostly positive footstep in this country.
Wow.
And a lot of people don't know that that's like Switzerland somehow behind that. Basel is a town in Switzerland. And that, I think, that nurtures our very close relations until today. But then we have so many other areas of cooperation, which we can also delve into if you want to. But right now we are very active in the field of like trade relations. We are your number one export partner. Mm-hmm. We do have a lot of Swiss companies that are active in Ghana. And although we are small countries, there are more than 60 Swiss investors that do have set up their shop in Ghana. So that's actually quite major. Then we have a bilateral climate agreement between our two countries,
of course,
which was one of the first in the world actually to be signed. And Ghana and Switzerland, I think our bilateral climate relations are really pioneering, and there are a lot of other countries that want to learn from this cooperation. We do have a large development cooperation program, which we will continue into the future. So Ghana is one of the few priority countries that our economic development cooperation has in sub-Saharan Africa. And of course, we have our political relations. We do annual bilateral consultations. So you see, it's a lot. So I could talk for an hour only about that.
Very broad, but I'm not sure a lot of people are aware that the first Twi Bible was codified or was written by the Swiss Basel missionaries in Ghana, and this date back years, like you are revealing for the first time to many.
So not even only but the first dictionary. That was still in the 19th century. So it's English Twi, that was introduced by the Basel missionaries.
Okay.
So I understand that before that it was mostly a spoken language, right? So it was also about putting like tree into writing.
Well, so that's quite a revelation that the first English tree dictionary in Ghana was written by the Basel missionaries. I'm sure that a lot of you know the Basel missionaries. You've been representing Switzerland in Ghana for some years now. How do you find Ghana as a country?
I'm a big fan of Ghana, and there's so many things to talk about. But what I really did was to venture out. So I visited now, I think, 13 out of the 16 regions. So I really tried to discover Ghana, not only Accra. And I really, really value the diversity of the country. So wherever you go, obviously, we all know about the languages, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you go to the north, you travel from village to village and they speak a different language in each place. And I was like, I just, entered the car, got out, and it's a different language. But then also you see it in like the kind of the attire, I've
culture,
also been to some cultural festivals, like where you see like, oh my God, like I feel like every culture has their own music, their own dance, their own dresses, food. So also like every region in Ghana has their own food. I like that. So diversity for me is a really a huge selling point for Ghana. And then I also like the political culture, which I think is very similar to the one in Switzerland. So I really appreciate that Ghana is a democracy. You have free speech. As an ambassador, that makes my life much easier. I don't have to think sometimes in certain contexts, everything I say, I have to think, can I say this? Can I not say that? That's not the case in Ghana. Obviously, I'm still a diplomat, but I feel there is this culture of debate and discussion, and you can also if there is an issue, and there's hardly ever an issue between Switzerland and Ghana, I can see the powers that be. I can talk to the authorities and be quite frank and straightforward and say like, look, we have an issue, and they will listen, and then we will try to solve it together. So it's a very constructive approach, and that is really something that sets Ghana apart from many other countries in the world, other countries I've served in. And I think it's something you can be very, very proud of.
We thank you very much. This relationship that you talk about between Ghana and Switzerland dates back over 200 years, but there is something significant about these Basel missionaries. People still see the relics of the things they did, the photos of the education they tried to impact, the churches they built, the schools. Have you visited some of them? Some of them are 250 years, some are 200 years. How is the condition of these monuments?
I did, of course, when our foreign minister visited, I think it was like 1.5 years ago, we also took him. There is a kind of a small monument in Osu.
Osu, okay.
Near the castle, where like they have a small cross and where they first landed, really.
Okay.
And the monument is not in a really good shape, but we have then taken it up also with the Presby Church, and we will see what we can do, especially for this 200-year anniversary. I've also been in Akropong, where, then the Basel missionaries settled, and I really tried to follow a bit the footsteps of the Basel missionaries. And what I saw there was extremely impressive because, as you said, some of these buildings are like 150 years old. And they were built with a kind of material that was very much, I think it was like Swiss engineering and then with local materials, but they still look like, in this very harsh climate, they still look like impeccable. So I was very, very much impressed after all the years. So they really built them in a very solid way. And then I also have to say they really take care of the maintenance. So that also tells me that, the Presby Church nowadays, they really take this seriously and they try to also preserve that legacy. So it was heartwarming for me to see that.
Excellent. We cannot talk about the relationship without touching on cocoa.
Cocoa, yes.
The history is vast on the Swiss missionaries bringing cocoa. Then Tete Kwashi came into the story and all that. And the relationship has continued from cocoa coming from Switzerland to Ghana and then going back to Switzerland. How has this relationship shaped up cocoa binding these two countries beautifully?
Like you mentioned Tete Kwashi, and I think nowadays it's clear that he was really the one, who effectively and productively cultivated cocoa in this country.
Yeah.
It's not very clear what his relations were with the Basel missionaries. The Basel missionaries already started before Tete Kwashi, but they were not successful. And they brought the beans actually from South America. And then Tete Kwashi's innovation was really to go to Bioko, which is Equatorial. Yeah, it's exactly.
Po.
Thank you. Exactly. Fernando Po, and brought, and then these particular beans actually thrived in Ghana. So that's actually a Ghanaian invention, but I guess the Swiss had like a hand in it too. But then later on, out of the Basel missionaries, you had the United Trading, the UTC, the United Trading Company.
Company.
And they then started actually in trading in cocoa. And that's also how then, through the Basel missionaries, through the UTC, the cocoa basically ended up in Switzerland, and how we built a huge chocolate tradition around that. And up to today, almost 50% of the cocoa we source in Switzerland globally is out of Ghana. And, we have I have to do a pitch, but we have the best chocolate in the world. It's really that.
You have the best chocolates in the world. We have the best cocoa.
Exactly. No, I was actually heading there.
Okay.
So Ghanaian cocoa, because we do the finest chocolate in the world, we need the best cocoa.
Of course.
And really, I've talked to experts, obviously, from there. They say the Ghanaian cocoa is among the best in the world, and especially very good quality, and you produce them in large quantities.
Excellent. And this exports has still continued for years. And
absolutely.
How do we seek to strengthen this relationship, especially from the farmer's point of view, to Switzerland and this chocolate industry?
So the Swiss private sector, they formed an association, and they try to really also invest in Ghana. So they do different projects here, providing for health insurance for farmers. Of course, we have projects where we want to fight child labor and make sure the kids go to school. But we also invest in new methods on detecting the so-called swollen shoot disease. That is now disease. Exactly. So there's a lot of activities. We actually work very closely with CocoBot. We have a memorandum of understanding with CocoBot, and then we try to see where really the needs of Ghana in the cocoa area, and then we can mobilize our private sector in Switzerland, and then our government will also pay a share, and we try to do interventions and projects that hopefully have an impact on the farmers. And we recently did a study, a living income study, that showed that actually what Switzerland is doing in these cocoa areas. I think it's not enough. That we need others to come in, right? It's not that we are going to changing the sector entirely, but it does impact the lives of the direct beneficiaries in a positive way.
Excellent. And you touched on the political nature of Ghana. How Ghanaians are expressive, how democracy is thriving compared to other African countries. How do you compare that to Switzerland?
As I said, I think in terms of political culture, we do have a lot of commonalities. We do have a completely different political system, right? If I just look at the constitution. So in your constitution, the president is almighty, right? It can appoint thousands of people, so that the presidency is very strong. So in the Swiss system, we don't even have a real president. We have a rotating. So we have 7 ministers, if you want. So
seven ministers.
They're called federal councillors, and then they rotate. Each of the 7 get to be president for a year. So it's the least powerful president you can have. So this is a huge. I don't know in the world. I wouldn't. Maybe this, but it's super.
For only 1 year.
1 year. Yeah. And then if you stay in government for more than 7 years, you may come back for a second time, So, so that, as I said, political culture is quite similar, but then the constitution completely different. Also, in Ghana, we hear a lot about the winner-takes-all system. You have 2 candidates, vying for a post, and then one wins with 51%, the other one has 49%, that you lose out, you don't get anything. In Switzerland, we we have a very consensual system and we have proportional elections. So, that several parties enter parliament. Also, you know, in the constituencies, again, you have various candidates from various parties that will enter into parliament. And then once in parliament, it also means you have not only two parties, but you have a few of them. And then they always have to work together because no party has the majority. So I would say because of that, our politics is much more consensus-oriented. While here there's still a lot of, you know, us against them, a lot of fights, you know, and also a bit the theatrical element, if you want. So we don't have that in Switzerland so much. And maybe one point that also stems from that, it's like I feel here it's a lot about personalities, you know, and you know your politicians and, you know, when parliamentarians are being recognized on the street. In Switzerland, people care less about the politicians and more about the issues. So as a politician, you can walk freely. No one will ever recognize you unless you're like, you know, unless you expose yourself on something like a very, very a topic of national interest.
Okay, so it is easier for a politician in Switzerland to walk to a restaurant. Nobody cares.
Absolutely. Even now, the 7 ministers, I told you, they walk like they bike to work, you know, and people would maybe know them, but they would not approach them. They would really maybe look from afar and say, oh, yeah, that's the minister. And you're like, there's no bodyguards, nothing. They're like, they're cool. They're people like you and me. You can enter the tram in the morning and then the minister is sitting next to you. Yeah, it's normal.
Normal.
Yeah, it's really, we don't even question it. You only start to question it when you go to another country. But for Swiss people, that's like, again, you know, and they're not that powerful. Again, I mean, they're the government. Of course, we have respect towards them, but then we also feel like they're people like you and me.
So it is not a celebrity status politician, a long convoy power.
No, we don't have I think we have convoys only when we have like foreign dignitaries visit.
But the local politicians will not be.
No.
But what changes? It's possible to have it. You have the power, you have the cars, you have the money is there. So why would you not want to exercise the powers of having a long convoy, military detail and all that?
I think it would, like, they know that because they are politicians, they've been elected, and they would know that this would backfire. Swiss people would just say, like, what the heck is happening? This would be in the media all over the place, you know, saying like, why does that? I mean, we're a safe country, right? We're like, why? And then also second question is like, someone has to pay for this.
Yeah.
So we're paying taxes. So we would say like, why are we paying for the security detail of that minister? So again, I think it's in Switzerland, it wouldn't be possible. I think, people would question it, and you would basically shoot into your own foot if you were trying to do that.
That's the question I was coming to. People will question it and so what. Mm-hmm. If people talk, I'm sure that you are saying that we are very expressive here.
Yeah.
We also talk. We express.
You do.
Yeah, but if people talk about politicians having long convoys, security detail, big mansions, if people talk, what will happen?
But again, I think it comes back really to, at the end, the constitution and the political system you're having. Because in your system, and I'm actually very happy, so I feel I can speak freely about that, because I'm very happy that the president decided that he wants to, you know, take another look at the constitution and review it. And I think it's a very welcome move.
Yeah.
So, you know, since you have only two parties,
we have more parties, but
exactly. Major. I mean, you have more, but to make it into parliament, and it's because of your electoral system, right? So in Switzerland, if you have an emerging issue, then you may as well, a party may form, like the Green Party, right? You have a lot of people concerned about environmental issues, sustainability. So a party was formed, and then whoever was not happy with what the established parties were doing could vote for that party, and then they were growing in votes, and so it's easier to reflect a bit the will of the voters. And now also, since you have the two parties, you know, it's very easy if you're only two. Mm-hmm. You can say like, I'm not saying that they're doing that, but it's easy to say, let's make a deal. You know, if you and you're one party, I'm the other.
Yes.
And we say like, you know, it's actually cool if we both have these convoys and stuff. Like, let's just make a deal. If I'm in power, I get the convoy. If you're, no, we're not quite, you know what I mean?
So it's not
if
diverse.
If you have 5 parties, you have to convince all of them. And if one party comes to power and says like, oh, we do things completely differently, and then all the others are somehow under pressure, you know? So I feel having like different
political
power centers, you know, helps a bit in keeping check on power.
It sounds like absurd to a Ghanaian to feel that there are politicians somewhere that people don't care about, and you can just wake up one day and form a party based on.
Well, it's not that easy. It's not that. I mean,
no,
it takes
you
years
form and you get people,
and there were social movements and all that. But yes, I mean,
and you get to convince people to join within a short time, and they can win power to a seat in the parliament or something. Sounds great. But are there any issues that you'd want to touch on with respect to the constitutional review? I'm sure you say you are very interested in. I mean, the president instituting a committee to review the constitution.
You know, so again, like I'm also a political scientist. So when I came here, I looked at your constitution, and I think it was a brilliant constitution for the transition. You know, we have to acknowledge there are not many countries like Ghana where like President Rawlings decided that he would leave power peacefully, you know. So I think it was a brilliant constitution for that moment, but it was a transitory kind of constitution. And again, you could see for that transition, you had a lot of the power in the executive. And also, I think internationally, you know, Ghana is one of those countries where presidential powers are probably the strongest. So I think that's one, and I know that the Constitutional Review Committee is looking at that, like, how can you put some checks on presidential power? You know, does really the president have to appoint every single like municipal chief executive in this country? Wouldn't it make sense to have elections? So that's another area. So Switzerland is also an extremely decentralized country, and I believe in the beauty of elections. I also believe it makes sense to elect your local leaders.
Okay.
It has so many benefits. It strengthens accountability. You know the people you elect. You know, you see if they do wrong, it's much easier to spot it because they're in your town, right? And so you can elect them out. So that's another area in the Constitution which I think is worth
election
looking at.
of local.
Absolutely, decentralization. And then one thing I'm very passionate about, I feel like the entire Constitution needs to be written in a gender-sensitive language. Now, when you look at that, exactly, when you look at the Constitution, any elected position is reserved for men. It's always he and him. So I said like, okay, so ladies cannot apply. So at least put the he, she, you know, make it like inclusive even in your language, right?
Okay.
So that women actually feel, you know, I could assume this position. You have a female vice president.
Yes.
Constitution still talks only about men.
You think that even with the vice president being a female for the first time has not changed anything?
It had. No, like, don't get me wrong. I think that Ghana is so absolutely ready to have more female leaders.
Okay.
I think the problem is really not the citizenry. And I've seen recent opinion polls where people said like, where they were asking, who do you want to be, you know, the next president?
Yes.
And you saw the vice president was like top. So I always said like, Ghanaians are ready even for a female president, you know, in the near future. Again, I think it's just, it's harder for women to compete. It's a very harsh environment. We talked about it. It's harsh for them. You know, it's difficult for them to get into politics. And then I think they're also exposed to more attacks even than men, you know. And a lot of attacks are really personal. And I talk to a lot of women. And I think you have to have a very, very, very thick skin. So I don't think I could be a female politician in Ghana. You know, because so? you are like a strange bird. Like, people are not used to it. And you get really, people are questioning, people... You know, if you make a mistake, it's again like everybody makes mistakes, but then it's like, oh, because you're a woman.
You're a woman.
No one, if a man makes a mistake, no one is like, oh, it's because you're a man. It's just, it's normal. Everybody makes mistakes. If the woman makes the same mistakes, it's, oh, she's a woman. Of course, she's not ready for the job. We should never have elected her.
She's not expected to be here.
Exactly. So it's very hard to be a woman politician. In
Even
this
with
country.
all the academic credentials, you don't think that you can be a woman politician in Ghana?
You can. And I.
No, you.
Yeah, me, no.
There are times.
No, just for, in terms of like, emotional well-being, whatever. I think you just have to turn off your social media or whatever, and then say like, you let people talk, and I do my thing, and you probably need very strong. Well, I don't know. Like, look, I don't want to try, to be honest. So
you are a gender activist as well, and what are some of the areas that we can actually start to get inclusivity, especially for women, that may transform the country from those basics, even getting to the top as a president for a woman?
You know, I do believe that Ghana is doing actually quite well. In some areas, even better than Switzerland. Like when you look at the army, you're almost at like 15%. I don't even, I feel ashamed to say how many we have in Switzerland, but it's like really single digits, very low single,
army.
Virtually not existing. So, and also in the private sector, you have a lot of powerful women, probably more than in Switzerland. In the judiciary, you know, you had chief justices early on. In civil society, in the arts, like music, visual, anywhere you look, you have women. I mean, that's why I'm also saying I don't think that Ghana has a problem with women empowerment and gender equality. Or you go to the markets, like all the market women, right? They're women.
Yeah.
I think it's really something that, like, transferring the lessons from any other sphere in life, like, to politics, and maybe someone should really, like, academically, scientifically look into that. Why is Ghana so far advanced when it comes to gender equality, and why hasn't this transpired into the political sphere so much?
It looks like there is a block somewhere. They do so well in other spheres, but when it gets to politics, then they are blocked from getting access to the very sensitive places. But are there some women here who have impressed you, especially in terms of what you've learned that can be transferred to Switzerland as well, as you said?
Oh, there's so many. Oh my God. Oh, now I have to. I don't want to single out someone because then the other one will say like, why didn't you mention me? So let's not mention names. But I can tell you that, like, again, we talked about the music industry. There are like some women, and that's like, usually, obviously, I don't know very much about that industry, and I'm getting to know more about it in the Ghanaian context. And where I see that, like, for female performers, it's even harder than for men to exist in that space, and and to get concerts and contracts and all that. And really, from them, what I learned is what we talked about before, is that like, you can be out there, you can be attacked, like, from all sides, and you develop this inner resilience where you say, like, look, it is what it is. I know who I am, and you build that bubble around you, and I think that's something I can certainly learn. I'm not there yet, but that's something that impressed me a lot, and I feel like, okay, these women have discovered something in life that hasn't come to me yet naturally. Yeah,
it sounds like. When you find yourself in a country that you've not been in as a diplomat, you come here. How do not the people who come to you or to the office, how do local people relate to diplomats? In the streets and the cultural events?
I mean, like, look, in the streets, people don't know I'm a diplomat, right? Yeah. I'm not that famous, and that's also what I like about Ghana. I can go to the market, I can ride an Uber or whatever. No one knows who I am, right? So I can actually have super normal conversations with people.
Yeah.
And at events, I think it's always respectful when people know I'm the ambassador. I think Ghanaians are very mindful of how, like, they treat dignitaries. That's something I observed here. So always a lot of respect, but then there's also interest. I feel like a curiosity. And I like that Ghanaians are not afraid. They're not like, you're the ambassador, I cannot talk to you. No,
Expressive.
No, they're very expressive. Yes, they approach me. They want to learn about Switzerland. They want to get to know me. So that's something I really appreciate. So it's actually easy to make contact.
Yeah. That's on the contact with people, but as a diplomat, if there are conversations in the country like Ghana, very heated conversation, you hear about them. For instance, I'm sure you know about Galamsey.
Of course, yeah.
You know what Galamsey is?
Absolutely, of course I know Galamsey. And Switzerland is the number one importer of gold from Ghana. But
number one importer of gold from Ghana.
Yeah, I have to say, of the legal non-Galamsey gold. So we only source our gold from the large mines.
Yeah.
But through that, of course, we have to monitor a bit what is going on in the gold sector. And we also talked about cocoa before. Of course, Galamsey is also affecting cocoa and other food crops. So we have actually been observing the situation with great concern. And again, it has, it impacts health. Also, since we are active in development cooperation, we are obviously also concerned about the health effect it has, the environmental effect it has. You look at your water bodies, there's so many questions linked to Galamsey. And then I was actually last year was very happy to see that, youth mobilized around this. And I thought it was a beautiful moment, where the young people said, like, look, this is our country. I mean, we're going to live a few more years, We want a beautiful country to inherit. So Galamsey is destroying our future, the future of our kids. We have to do something against it. Now, as a diplomat, you're not getting directly involved, right? It's your country, it's your politics. But I think if you can show at least moral support to say, like, to the young people, I think it's good what you're doing. I think, yes, Galamsey is a problem. Then I would also address this behind closed doors, of course, with politicians. And they were very much aware of it and the conversation. So I don't have to lecture them on what's wrong with Galamsey. Like, everybody knows.
But you get concerned.
But I get concerned. And what I try actually is then to see what can we do? How can we assist? And hopefully, I mean, I don't want to promise anything, but I hope that by the end of the year, we will have some project activities on sustainable artisanal gold mining in the country. So more like showing how can you do small scale mining, but in an environmentally, socially acceptable way. So that's hopefully a contribution that Switzerland can make.
Hopefully by the close of the year.
I don't want to be now and then. It's like that. It's not me deciding, right?
Yeah.
So it's all I can do. Also, even when it comes to like Swiss activities, I can somehow I can raise the alarm bells, or I can charm some people into like looking into Ghana. So I have to use my diplomatic skills to convince people in Switzerland to have Ghana on their radar and get engaged here. Because, of course, in Switzerland, you have so many other countries that are competing with attention.
Yeah, that's good. We will be I'm sure many Ghanaians will be very excited if you can charm or you can get people.
I hope so.
Anybody involved.
Cross your fingers, please.
Yeah, it's crossed, because if gold and cocoa are the two most important things, gold, cocoa for us, and if we have that kind of relationship with Switzerland, then it's very in line that we also be concerned about what's happening to the environment, and even not for gold and cocoa, to the environment that you are in. And you may have some concerns to raise. But I've seen a lot of statistics before we end the interview, seen a lot of research, and they rank Switzerland as the best country to live in, the best country in terms of livelihood, the best country to stay. What makes Switzerland always on top of this ranking, the best country to stay in? What do you think are the factors?
One factor is certainly the environment, cleanliness. We have a very pristine nature, and I mean, we were also blessed. Somehow it's not our geographical location, right? We have the mountains, we have a lot of lakes. On the one hand side, yes, so we have these givens. We have a countryside that is just plainly beautiful. But then I think what Swiss people recognized is that we have to preserve that nature, and so cleanliness is super important. In our capital in Bern, I always take that as an example. People swim to work, so you have the Aare River that flows through Bern.
They swim to work,
and you can, when you see it, it's like in the Caribbean. The color is like green, bluish, and you can see to the wonderful. That's not the Aare, but like this is the color, right, of the river.
Okay.
And you can swim to work because and a lot of people do that.
You are going to work and you swim.
Yeah.
To work.
They take a bag. They put like their stuff, in the bag, which is waterproof. You swim, you get out, you get dressed, and you go to work. So and it's because we really take care of our environment. So I think that's for me the top. But you go home, you drink water from the tap. Again, that's like the definition of luxury, right?
Okay.
You don't have to. But then also in Switzerland, we've invested in public transport. So when I live in Switzerland, I don't have a car. You can get anywhere by train or bus. So you
don't have a car in Switzerland?
No. I don't need a car. And it's much better to be in a train. You can read a book. You can play a game. You can do things while sitting in a train. I think that is important. And then, of course, we have a very high quality of living just because we're quite wealthy. I mean, we shouldn't. That's certainly also so. Salaries are quite high, so people don't have like existential sorrows, or concerns.
Misery.
I'm not saying there's no poverty in Switzerland, but not in a way like life-threatening situations, and that helps as well. So I think that's a bit the package. And then also Switzerland is small, but extremely also diverse, and you have so many nice cities you can visit. And again, everything is reachable within 2-3 hours by train. So. On a weekend, you will never be bored on a weekend. There are so many new places you can explore. And living in Switzerland for 50 years, probably every weekend you can go somewhere and explore something new.
Every year. Someone sent a message about being in Switzerland as a student, Ghanaian student. I'm sure there are other exchange programs, that there are some students there. Are there some opportunities for partnership, for media, for sports? Recently, FC Basel sent kids to Ghana, give me jerseys, and in terms of partnership, and I'm quite elated that there is that partnership in sports.
Partnership is, I think there is. I mean, to be honest with you, there's a lot of partnership between Switzerland and Ghana, but it's mostly as you said, it's like based on private initiatives. So like now FC Basel, I know them and they have stopped by at the embassy, but it's really their initiative, so it's not the embassy. Or we have a lot of Swiss universities that partner with Ghanaian universities.
Okay.
Sometimes they don't even inform us about it. Then I go to the university and here in Ghana and they tell me about the cooperation with Swiss universities. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting to know. And so a lot of it is going on, but we as an embassy are also trying to discover it, and it's maybe also because Switzerland is also a very liberal country, so we believe in like private initiative, like also there are NGOs here, and then they just one example the other day, because we are quite active also in shea production in the north, and I guess we did some social media posts about that. And then an NGO in Switzerland contacted me and said, oh, we've been inactive in shea in northern Ghana for so many years, and we're this social enterprise, and we had no idea about it.
They've been around.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's a lot more Swiss initiatives out there that I, as the ambassador, don't even know about.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Before we end, this is a question that's been belabored. Every interview that you attend, people ask. What are some of the frequent mistakes that people make in terms of application of visas? They want to travel, but Switzerland is in the Schengen. They are going to Switzerland. Then they make mistakes in their visa application. What are the processes that are quite facilitative?
I haven't applied for a Schengen visa yet, but obviously I talk a lot with my head of visa. And what he says is you just have to make sure, that the number, the documents you have to submit, it's not optional. You have to have every single one of them and in good order. Some problems we had in the past, for instance, you need like a hotel booking.
Yes.
And then people do like temporary bookings.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time they apply, somehow the booking has bounced back. And then it looks like they don't have a booking anymore. It was like a temporary booking. And then maybe it has a reservation. And then it looked like they didn't have a booking. And then like it's rejected. One issue that we are really having, we are applying the Schengen rules, so it's the same rules as for every other country. However, you also have to show in your bank account that you have sufficient funds for a trip. And since Switzerland is so much more expensive than most of the other countries, the amount that you need to have in your bank account has to be higher, just because otherwise you cannot survive
there.
You cannot survive on $100 a day in Switzerland. I know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's possible, but it's even for me as a Swiss citizen, as a Swiss ambassador. When I go back, I'm like, it's not just that I go in a restaurant and order whatever, and no, you're checking the prices and you're counting your money. So Switzerland is extremely expensive. So that's maybe why the hurdle to get a Swiss visa is even higher than getting a visa to like surrounding countries.
Right. What would you want to share with Ghanaians as we continue to forge very strong bond of over 200 years and build our ties? What do you have to share with Ghanaians?
I really hope that we can further build on these already very strong relations. I really appreciate the openness that I've encountered here in Ghana at all levels, at the level of your political leadership, but then, as I said, everyday interactions. I think there's a strong curiosity towards Switzerland. I really also hope on my side, that we as the Swiss Embassy can really also live up to the expectations.
Yes.
So, and everything we touched upon, today, I really hope that these are like stepping stones, and that whoever will, follow me as the new Swiss ambassador, can then also pick up these pieces and tie even stronger relations. And for the Ghanaians out there, I think please do welcome whoever comes next. And that's not, it's only in a year, so I'm not leaving yet. But, please do open them with open arms as you have me. And please also, be proud of what you've achieved. I think, like, especially when it comes to democracy.
Right.
And let's really also, let's cherish this brotherhood or sisterhood that we are having as two democratically minded countries in this world. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You go on social media, I'm sure you see, oh, she's lively. Oh, she's this. I'm sure you read these comments. Is there a place in Ghana that you visited and been wowed? That's tourist attraction site, something that you still keep the memories?
I mean, a few places, but then of course, when you first go to Elmina and Cape Coast, I mean, that's like, I don't know whether wow, but you're certainly emotionally, you're there and you're like, oh my God, that's a must, I guess. And then I have been in the north at Larabanga.
Larabanga Mosque.
I liked it a lot. I mean, that's a really a beautiful piece of architecture. And then you have beautiful beaches. I've been to Busua, where I also was like, wow. I mean, and I sent pictures to my friends and they thought I was in the Caribbean or somewhere. So that they're really different place. I also like the Volta region. Keta is beautiful. You see, I think there's like something to highlight in almost every region.
Yeah, they said they'll be welcoming you to Kumasi for fufu. Some.
Oh yes, of course. It's actually on my radar. I've been to Kumasi a few times. And absolutely. Please tell me where I can get the best fufu.
Yeah.
If they can do recommendations on you, which Sadiq will share with me later.
I'll share that with you later.
Okay, cool.
You have favorite musicians? Yeah. Or you don't really?
I do, but I'm not sure if I again, No, but it's an open secret. I'm a big Black Sherry fan. So yeah, so everybody knows. But honestly, I have so many. I love Eno Baroni. I love Wendy Shea. I love Manifesto. Not to forget about Manifesto. There are few musicians that I really, really treasure, and I will listen to them even when I be leaving Ghana.
Yeah,
so
you're a big Black Sherry fan. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
sorry,
much.
Maybe that was not diplomatically correct, but it's like maybe because he was my first discovery here. So the first artist I really got to like was Black Sherif.
Okay.
And so now I somehow feel like I have this loyalty towards him.
Yes. We thank you very much for coming. First and foremost, I'm sure that this may be the first time that we're having you here. This is a different terrain altogether. People are very excited. I've seen hundreds of messages that I cannot read them, but they appreciate that you make time. And also those who are following you on social media, quite seeing you and saying they like your vibe.
Thank you.
When Ghanaians say
that's lovely. Thank you.
They like your vibe, then things are going. So we'll be building this strong relationship, Ghana, Switzerland, and in so many areas, and so that we continue to live in harmony as and when. So thank you very much, Ambassador Simone Giga. We may link up sometime later and share the beautiful memories that Ghana and Switzerland bring. Thank you.
Thank you.
On a Swiss ambassador, said the woman said you chance him no more. And the mu sham, and Timwana mu wait right now, me pebiaco no see Sicano. As I say, a good account soon homete. Is answer $100 credit about me and send be now and a near womb. 70 cabia. If Frikalamza, Bepim said, Odiberia, ya, and they Ghana relationship and all. And awesome. Anyways, Yane Susan Kwako, right? Cello Restaurant and Bar. Yes, omon pani phone wo fia yemisa omon so said there and then omon come also so ECT. So Susan, good morning. Bibia boko there.
Good morning.
Ube enema make a crank many beje ho papa.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Share with us about the Cello Restaurant and Bar. I know you have a couple of events coming up, but share with us now.
Okay, so Cello Restaurant and Bar is the newest spot in town. We are located in Osu around Nyaneba Estate. Mm-hmm. We have the Urban Fair coming up this Sunday and Monday, the Easter Sunday and Monday.
Easter Sunday and Monday.
Yes.
Can you let us know the packages that you have at the Cello Restaurant and Bar? Okay.
So the Urban Fair is basically an event where we have invited other vendors into our space to get to display their products and also connect with their audience. And we did that just to support other small businesses like ourselves. I am hoping that people get to enjoy themselves all while getting to learn more about the vendors and the entrepreneurs that we have in Ghana.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So basically, you also do help small enterprises to grow up so that they can also make profit out of what they do.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Which is taking place on Sunday and Monday as usual. All right. Where are you located once again?
In Osu, around the Nyaneba Estate.
Okay. So apart from all these, what again do you want to share with us again so that people can also come out with you and then have a very good relationship as well?
Yeah. Of course, the Urban Fair is a very important event, but it goes without saying that it's a restaurant. So we offer amazing food with our chef that has combined home recipes in mind. And it's basically a place where families can come, relax, enjoy some music, great food, and just have a good time.
So you have continental and local dishes where people can have a very nice atmosphere, hang out with their families and friends. Can you let us know some of the local and continental dishes that you're going to provide over there?
Yes, our best seller is assorted fried rice.
Assorted fried rice.
Yes, it's very spicy, juicy, has all the right protein in there. And then we also do some jollof as well, some yam chips, really good chicken wings. We have fish dippers as well. So those are just a number of things we have on our menu that people really love.
How about the continental dishes? How about the local dishes? You mentioned the continental.
So it's basically an Afro-fusion restaurant. So we mainly focus on continental, but a bit of
local dishes.
Yes. So the jollof is one of our best sellers. That's a local dish.
How about the prices as well?
Our prices are...
Can you share with us? so that when I'm coming over with the families and friends, I know I have to spend about 1,000, 500, 100 Ghana cedis, you know.
We have affordable... So we have prices for everyone. So if you want to come and splurge and make your family feel special, we have that package. And then we also have affordable prices for guests that just want to enjoy but on a low budget. So
I see.
Yes.
But during Easter festivities, sometimes we have individuals, institutions, churches.
Yeah.
They come up in their numbers. Do you accommodate them? Are there at this kind of event, maybe about 100 in number, 200 in number? Can you accommodate such huge numbers?
Yes. So at the moment, our capacity is between 100 to 150 people that we can accommodate at Cello. But for the urban fair, the number is not limited because we've opened up the restaurant and we are using our car park as well. So
okay. For someone to participate in the fair, do you have to pay or to register before you can be part of such an occasion?
Yes. So you register and then you make payment. We have like a few slots left that people can grab from now till Saturday. And it's going for 1,000 cedi for the 2 days that you get access.
For the registration alone?
To get access to the space, it's 1,000 cedis.
For your exhibition?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. 1,000 cedis for an individual?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
For 2 days. For the person displaying their products. I mean, for regular people that walk in, you don't have to pay anything. It's totally free.
Okay.
But if you want to display your products, you have to pay to get a slot.
Give us the contact so that we can reach you. Maybe someone listening to a Bono Hafo, someone to maybe listening in Accra, they want to participate in such location. Share with the numbers with us so that we can call you.
So you can either call our number, which is 0550 20 46 36. Yes.
055. Repeat it for me.
0550 20 46 36. So either that or you can just send us a DM on our Instagram or any other social media platforms and then we'll send you the application forms, then you can register.
How about delivery? Because of busy schedules, people will not be able to there in person. Do you do such?
Yes. We are on Bolt Food and also Haptel. So if you would like to order from us and then have it delivered, we have that as well. We have that option as well.
All right, so Cello Restaurant and Bar, thank you very much for coming up.
Thank you for having me.
And I will be there with the family and then have fun as well.
We will be expecting you.
Great. Susan Kweku, Cello Restaurant and Bar, Panimpana, Artisan, and Bonkombo. Yamin Shao, so bye. Thank you so much. Okay, and see na afi Baba Betwasun, Koma Kejina, no, right here. Yabeko Edim Nafia, who said, and come on, so ECTS. So DJ Sack,